Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second episode of Red, Right, and True, right here at the America First Warehouse, the most patriotic venue in the land, and we are so honored to have a podcast right here. We have my co-host, Joe Curry.
Yes, good evening. How's everybody doing?
We have Patriot Box.
Hello, everyone.
And our special guest tonight is Keith Fitz.
What's going on?
He's very shy.
He's
And just to explain a little bit what the show is about, because we started last week, this show is about the expression of ideas and in debate and finding the facts. A lot of times, as patriots, we are put in a box. That's why we have the Patriot Box here. And the box signifies where we are put sometimes, where we are held sometimes, where we have to fight out of to prove our point due to the negativity and the ignorance of the far left every day that we have to fight for the cause. So welcome aboard and hope you enjoy the show.
Yes, and we're going to start off by talking about the halftime show.
No, we're going to talk about Kit.
I thought we would.
All right, if you want to talk about the halftime show,
talk
sure.
about the halftime show, and speaking of being put in a box, the Super Bowl is, of course, an American tradition, and the halftime show, everybody watches the commercials, and you never had a choice. You basically had to watch whatever they had on, unless you use it to get snacks or whatever. And this was the first time that the American people were given a different choice if they wanted to take it, to go to watch Turning Point USA instead of Bad Bunny. So I wanted to get everyone's opinions about that. So you want to start with Key? What was your first of all, which one did you watch?
Oh, I went with Turning Point all the way. First off, and I'm a musician, so I just don't care for the performers that were on the Super Bowl itself. Bad Bunny I never heard of before, so I didn't know what style he was, but I preferred what I heard was going on the other show. And I'll tell you, some of the performers on the other show, on the Turning Point show, I never knew before, but they rocked. They rocked.
Well, I think I had no knowledge of who Bad Bunny was before the podcast, and so I had nothing against him. But I was hearing that he's not very complimentary about our country. So my point was, wouldn't you want to have somebody represent people who love our country during America's favorite pastime, football? And a lot of people were not happy about their choice. They felt that it was a political statement. And he ended up singing all in Spanish, which, is, it sent a message that, English is not the first language. There was no subtitles. And then later they found out that the lyrics were very, very dirty. Very dirty.
Vulgar. Vulgar is the word.
And if he had sung it in English, then
It would have been outraged.
It would have been bleeped, like every other word. So it's like that. Like again, that's a statement that the NFL was making by picking this person, and millions of people tuned in to watch the alternative, which I was like, I'd never seen so many comments going live. They were just going like this because 1 million people at a time came on, and I was trying to type one thing in, and it was like waves and waves and waves of people that were so thrilled to have a different choice to watch for the Super Bowl halftime game. So I think that says a lot. I think just like with Trump, everybody doesn't always say out loud that they're for him, but when it came time to vote, they showed who they really wanted to be president. And again, with this halftime show, the choice of the people to pick Turning Point USA and watch that show versus the one that was pushed on us. My point is we have a choice now. We didn't have a choice.
Well, this was the greatest marketing gambit ever, where a halftime show superseded the football game itself. And one of the key things. Let's look at why this was such a controversial issue. Now, you mentioned things about Bad Bunny, and basically in the past, he said his ICE out and immigration policy explicitly called for the abolition of immigrations and custom enforcement, avoided U.S. mainland tours because he felt that he was under threat to come to the states, and he's criticized Trump many a time, and feelings of alienation experienced rejecting in the U.S. I'm a Latino Caribbean, my skin is white. I have felt in rejection in the U.S., maybe in some places because of being Latino. Now, you take that and then add, now the reason he wanted him in is because, in my opinion, it was a celebration of Puerto Rican culture, where the previous Super Bowl, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, was with Usher, which was a celebration of the African American and rap culture. Puerto Rico is a territory. Puerto Rico is not a foreign country. They did deserve their point in the sun. But here's how why it was so controversial is part of the woke policies of the NFL. Okay, end zone slogans and messaging like "end racism" takes all of us in end zones. That needs not to be there. It's a game. Lift every voice and sing, which is what the state is the African American national anthem. Now we understand the struggles that they've had. They've understood we respect that. But you don't need to have that.
It's kind of time and place. It's kind of like when the Budweiser people picked a trans person to represent their beer, the public spoke out by not purchasing the beer because it's kind of like they're pushing their agenda, as Joe was saying, into people's faces, and so people again, conservatives try not to fight, physically or scream at people, but what we do is collectively, we, like all those people that tuned into Turning Point USA, collectively, we made a statement that we don't have to watch that choice that NBC picked for us.
Yes, and
So
the Turning Point show was good. You did have a choice. I mean, it was a celebration of America. The NFL halftime show was a celebration of a portion of America. And to tell you the truth, when you watched the show itself, I don't think it was as a musician as well, I don't think, and somebody that enjoys presentation, I don't think it was more, in that presence, any more interesting than any other halftime show. Give you an example. The halftime show, and ironically, Lady Gaga was in this one, but Lady Gaga's halftime show was beyond amazing, just for the way they staged it. I mean, they made they celebrated the Puerto Rican community, which was good, but I believe that the hype that they pushed on this was just so out of hand, and the one good result out of it was the Turning Point show.
Right, and they already said that they're going to share, definitely do it next year. So they'll have a whole year to plan. But it went so well. There was over 5 million on the YouTube alone. And then...
Yeah, it was like 6 million, 6 million
yeah.
plus total.
So
yes.
that's America speaking loud and clear that we've had enough of the woke stuff pushed on us. And Key, what do you have any thoughts on that?
I do have one question. Bad Bunny... listening to and reading some of the translations of his songs, I want to know what he's representing by "I want to grind on you, I want to grind on you and smoke a blunt. I thought I was getting a BJ, okay." And then it gets dirtier from there, and I'm sure I can't.
You can't
say
even
that on
say
this,
it
Yeah,
here.
I can't even say half the lyrics on here, but.
And there were children in the audience.
Right.
But the thing is, I heard that a lot of people who speak Spanish said they didn't even understand what he was saying.
Well, he was mumbling anyway. That's one of the things I don't like about him. He mumbles.
Yeah. So
Mumbles in Spanish.
Yes.
That's interesting. And how do you know he's
a
mumbling?
mumbler.
But how do you know if he's mumbling? And I'm not just kidding. How do you know if he's mumbling if it's Spanish?
It was so monotone, and underneath the music, the music was louder than him. That
Yeah.
That's the reason why I'm saying he was mumbling.
So Patriot Box, we have 2 minutes.
I'm going to take us, and this will probably pick up in the next segment.
we'll continue it in the next segment.
But basically, what Bonnie and everyone on the panel is basically saying is, who gets to decide what we watch? I mean, the Super Bowl is the most watched individual thing in the whole year. And the same thing with the news. What we get to watch, we don't really decide. It's jammed down our throats as far as I'm concerned. And that's where the problem lies, and that's what we're going to get into in the next segment is what the news does not tell us. What are they covering? They're covering this woman, Nancy, who was kidnapped. I'm not going to use her last name. It's like, yes, tragedy for the family, but that's not world news. I don't know why that is what everyone is talking about when you have amazing things going on in the world right now. I'm going to just get it in. I talked to Joe, who's probably the most well-read person and up on current events. He wasn't aware of the fact that Cuba right now, 90 miles off the coast of Florida, they only have electric maybe 4 hours a day. The American blockade is there. And we're cutting that. That was a fentanyl route, and we're cutting them off. And that's big news. That's regime-changing news because the regime is trying to protect itself, and now they're really screwed because the American blockade is preventing them from doing what they've done for all these years. Things that are going on in Iran, and it's, again, what I want to come back to is, very simply, is what is the news not telling us? Why? Why do we hear the garbage that we do as opposed to the important things that we don't?
Right, and who gets to decide? And we're going to be talking about that when we come back, and we have 20 seconds. So we're at the First America Warehouse. You are watching the podcast Red, Right, and True with Joe Curry and Patriot Box and myself, Bonnie Scalisi. And you can catch us every Wednesday right here at the First America Warehouse at 6 o'clock. And stay tuned with us because we're going to explore this further. Thank you.
Have you noticed your money just doesn't stretch like it used to? Your paycheck feels lighter, and your savings aren't growing. The culprits? Inflation and increased money supply. They've both been quietly eating away at your purchasing power for years. Today, the dollar's value has dropped significantly. You feel it every time you spend money on goods and services. Back in 1965, $1 or an ounce of silver could buy you a gallon of milk. Fast forward to today. That same dollar barely buys a couple of coffee creamers, while an ounce of silver would get you 8 gallons of milk. Gold and silver have held their value for centuries. If you had 2,500 ounces of silver back in 1965, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang. Today, 2,500 ounces of silver would buy you 2 Mustangs. Similarly, in the year 2000, 628 ounces of gold would buy a new $170,000 home. Today, 628 ounces would buy you a $2,500,000 home. The problem? 95% of Americans don't own physical gold or silver. They think it's too complicated and too expensive, but it doesn't have to be. We offer a membership program that allows you to buy gold or silver with as little as $1. You can buy fractional amounts, safely vault them, or have them delivered to your doorstep, and you can liquidate them whenever you want at the highest buyback price in the industry. Ready to protect your wealth and keep your purchasing power? Scan the QR code or go to tafw.soundmoney.com to learn more.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won, it's not about what party, it's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
All right, live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box, and I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about, the Fred Rubino Podcast.
I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve? Fighting! Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse.
Welcome to Liberty's Cage, the podcast tearing down the walls of America's broken justice system.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
Back to the America First Warehouse with a live podcast, Read, Right, and True. We have Bonnie Scalisi, myself, the Patriot Box, Joe Curry, and special guest, Key Fitz.
Woo!
What we were talking about briefly before in the last segment was what the media shows us, what they do show us, what they don't show us, how we know they lie, but my point was very simply that what they are not talking about, what you're not hearing about, that is the problem. That's one of the major problems that we have with the legacy media. And I wanted Key Fitz to weigh in on this because he's a patriot, and he shows it in his attire, in his just. I'm going to have him take over because he could do it better than I can explain it to me.
All right. Well, you're talking about the media and what they don't tell us, which is the truth, because a lot of things they don't tell us is the truth. They'll tell us whatever they want us to know, they want us to follow. Basically, what they're doing is they're trying to lead the American people through the media to do things that you don't want them to do, or make people believe things that's not true. And, well, that's why it is true. You have to figure out what they don't want you to see.
And even if you look at a story, and you go to Google the story, okay, you go. The show prep is a perfect example. Or if you're debating somebody online, or you're debating on my old show when I was debating my co-hosts on something, you will go to a page, the front 1 or 2 pages of a story, and they will tell you to get a point. You need to go at least about 6 or 7 pages back. One of the examples of that is when they had the people coming over from Africa, the white people that were coming over from Africa, that lives were in danger because they were being harassed by the citizens.
They were being murdered.
Farmers.
Let's call it what it is.
The farmers that were being murdered. I had a big argument on my old show about it. No, that's not true. That's not true. And my buddy Anthony Cumia on his show on WABC did a segment on it. So I know he does his research. So I did my research. I had to go 7 pages back to get any semblance of the truth in the matter, in which the case was they were being harassed. And this is why they came to America.
They bury it. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're burying the truth.
It's all forms of the media, including Google. Because Google, again, the search engine, you ask a question, and if you don't ask it exactly right, you can't find your information.
Yeah.
And so we are being manipulated, in many different ways. And also, as far as, Key owns he's a store owner, and he sells patriotic things along with many other things. What do we call it so we don't get in trouble?
I have folding blades, fixed blades. I have swords. I have prepared to protect.
Don't mess with Key.
Pew-pews. We'll call it that. We'll call them pew-pews. I have numerous things. I also have many patriotic flags. I have the MAGA hats. I actually just brought in a nice golden bust of Trump. That's something new I just brought in.
Very cool. So you are in Retro Relics, correct?
It's now called Time Warp Relic Warehouse. It's the same place. What they did was, next door was Time Warp was a toy store, and Retro Relics was the flea market. They owned us. They owned both stores. They just moved the toy store in with us, and now it's called Time Warp Relic Warehouse. We're in Lake Grove at 2860 Middle Country Road.
And have you ever had any issues with selling Trump merchandise? Because I know that.
Very good question.
I have to be honest.
And I think he might have.
I can tell you numerous, but I'll tell you some of the funnier ones.
Okay.
Okay. because I have the flags overhead, and I have about 14 different flags over my head, I had one lady walk up and say, "Your flags turn me off." I said, "Well, I'm not trying to turn you on, lady."
But it's so interesting how an American flag is offensive. How
Right.
is an American flag offensive? This is the United States of America. If you are offended by the flag, there's something wrong with you, because that is the symbol of my country, our country, and it's like when people have it on their cars are vandalized because these nut jobs think that the flag represents, I don't know, something evil.
I'm gonna jump ahead, and I'm gonna say that how did the idea of "Make America Great Again"? How did that go from what's wrong with making it the country we love and we live in, and I think it's the best country ever? How is that a bad thing? And it's not only have they've basically bastardized it so that instead of just making our country make America great again, now that makes us a racist. Now that makes us some type of extremist. Now that makes us some type of terrible person that we're, I guess, killing babies and drinking their blood.
Oh, we're Hitler, apparently. We're
Yes.
Well, I love when I argue with people and they use the Hitler analogy, and I say, well, that's because that you don't have a talking point, and you go back to that. You're lazy. Do your homework. Now, a lot of this stems from the Democratic Party keeping people in check, certain demographic groups in check. And I've always had the differentiation of what is the difference between the conservative Republican Party and the Democratic Party. And the main difference is that the Democratic Party gives you hope. We have hope. We have hope. There's hope. Because what happens is the next election cycle, when it's business as usual and they do nothing, we understand, but we have hope. The conservatives, Republicans, have action and results. And it's up to them to get the action and the results. And that's what they represent. But the problem is lately is that, and this is on the Republican and conservative party, the conservatives, we need to get that message out there. We need to get off the rhetoric that the left shows. We need to show that the economy is improving. We need to show interest rates are coming down.
But it's like, as far as the people listening to us being called these horrible names, they are taking it to the next level, and their peaceful protests are not peaceful. And I want to get back to Key and his experiences right here on Long Island. He has a store. It's his right to sell whatever he wants. If you don't want to buy what he's selling because it offends you, then go someplace else. But I want to, go ahead, Key, tell us.
Sure, no problem. I'll even go so far as saying my wife also sells jewelry. We're jewelry and blades, basically, so you get an idea. She has made numerous, because she also does some engraving in it, she made numerous pieces with Trump's face on it, or Make America Great Again.
She's amazing.
And
Yes.
she even got some flack for that, because we would be out at, we also do shows out. Like we'll do street fairs and things like this. And people will look at it and say, "Oh, never." I'm like, "Never? Really?"
Never?
Never.
Representing your country?
Right,
Showing
exactly.
some pride
How
in your
dare
country?
they?
Never showed an ounce of respect for somebody else either, because they're sitting there complaining and kicking their feet and claiming that's what we do. That what they do. A matter of fact, I'll go so far as this, because as you were saying before,
Yeah.
with the Hitler point, I'm even going to go as far as saying, I think it was Lenin that said it originally with, he said, your opposition, charge them with the things that you are doing
100%.
yourself.
Yeah.
Which is what they did to Trump.
For
Everything-
distraction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love when they make that Hitler comment, and I always fight back. I go, so let me get this straight. Hitler moved the embassy, the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. Hitler wanted to come down on anti-Semitism on college campuses. Hitler had a daughter and two grandchildren that are Jewish. And you put that out there, that's a fact, and they go, oh, that's not true, and they put like the laugh emoji. And it's amazing when you present basic facts that the they just don't understand. Now, this is a very important thing. I mentioned it on last week's show. We are going into the midterms, and we need to win the midterms. And we need to change people's minds because we have this blind mindset, and that we need to show the tangible evidence that the Republican Party is making and Trump is making in this country. And we need to get on it right away because the midterms are in November. Time goes really quick. We're going to be there in no time.
And this goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the segment about with the lack of information, the brainwashing that goes on. And one thing that I'm very grateful for in the last election is we proved that in this country that more than half of the country was smart enough to see through all that garbage. Again, the other half, or less than half, the problem that they have is that they're indoctrinated with all of this phony media, limited stories, biased stories, and even social media, which is supposed to be the free and was a great thing. In fact, Trump won his first election that way by using social media, and that's when big tech started to do the shadow banning. They would basically censor anyone who was not following their narrative. And that's the problem. And that's why when we come up on this panel, that's what we want to get out is, you know what? There's another story that's not being told, and we want to tell it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as far as, people understanding that they are being brainwashed, the perfect example is these chants that all these people come, free Palestine, and you go and
Gays for Palestine.
Yeah, you go and you ask them, like, they don't even know where Israel is on a map. They have no clue. They are just brainwashed, and they are going along, I guess, to be part of the group.
They just like the term free. That's all they want is free. Gimme.
They don't understand the word free and what it means.
What it means.
Yeah, and also when we come back, we could also discuss Mandami and the policies there. So stay tuned, folks. We have a lot more of the show to go, and please stick with us on Red, Right, and True.
You worked hard and saved, but inflation and increased money supply are eroding your buying power. Protect and grow your wealth with physical gold and silver. Sound Money. With a Sound Money wallet, your wealth stays in your control. Buy fractionally, vault securely, ship directly, and instantly liquidate your gold and silver at the highest buyback price in the industry. Real money, real ownership. Visit tafwsoundmoney.info or scan the QR code and start securing your financial future today.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
At the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
Corporate transfer. Fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Hi, and welcome back to our second episode of our podcast, Red, Right, and True. And we wanted to talk a little bit about Mandami the Commie, because we had a terrible snowstorm, and this guy never had a real job in his life, and he promised everybody all this free stuff, and not only has he not delivered on the free stuff, but the snowstorm came and it was not handled well, and people were basically stuck. Their cars are encased in ice. The streets were not properly plowed. And then once again, I'm like, thank God I live on Long Island. But his recent speech really upset me, where he was talking about, he talked about his religion and the Prophet Muhammad, and he was quoting that, it's
from the Quran.
From the Quran, that it's immigration that they're bringing everybody here, and that the government will take care of us. He literally said this in a speech. And anybody who's witnessed that speech, myself included, I actually shared it in my Instagram story. I can't believe that this is happening in 2026. I am just appalled. We are a Judeo-Christian nation. Our values are Judeo-Christian nation. We believe what we believe. We don't believe in Sharia law. We don't believe that one segment of the population should conquer the other. We live and let live.
And we also believe in separation of church and state.
Well, separation of church and state, and basically he does have the right of the freedom of religion. It's Muslim religion. But here's several things that are going on with this. Basically, first of all, the first one was the snowstorm, where there's snow and there's garbage. Now, another thing is...
Oh, right, the garbage.
Right. Another thing is his policy of not removing homeless people, or or I forgot what the new term is, houseless or something like that. But what the problem is that he is not, even though he claims he is not removing homeless people off the street, and people have died. And there was a policy...
17.
Yeah, there was a policy in the city in previous administrations that said if you could not take care of your own faculties, and it was a life or death situation, the police have the option of bringing you somewhere where you will be safe. And another thing that concerns me is the whole thing with having social workers go out and handle situations. And I always loved it. And do the social workers know this? I'd like to see the first situation. It's like, they're there. All right, go get him. He has a gun. You got a couch. Go in and get him, okay? Where are we going to be? We're going to be here safe with the guns. Now, they had a situation where there was somebody, a person that was emotionally unstable, and he wound up getting shot. And if you saw the video,
I saw the
video.
video.
The police had no other choice to contain the situation. Who does Mandani go visit? He goes visits the person that got shot. Nothing to the police, thanking them for their bravery.
Who was stabbed, I believe.
Or it could have been maybe stabbed.
He was stabbed.
He was, the officer was stabbed?
In the hospital at the same time.
Right.
Mandami, and again, Mandami has the right to talk and console the family of the mentally deranged person, but he also has an obligation as the mayor of New York to address the police officer who puts his life on the line every day to protect us, and to not talk to his family, to not talk to that officer. Again, that's where I have a problem. That's the division that's going on in our society, and that's what they're promoting. They're trying to divide us.
But I don't think it's going to work as we go. Another example would be the city-run or state-run grocery stores. Okay, it is going to fail miserably, and the whole thing. And this is with Patriot Box was saying that people don't get their information, and the news is not providing this information. Okay? When they talk about the grocery stores, the grocery stores, they're making millions off of the people. And a grocery store works off a 4% gross margin. I don't care if it's Gristedes. I don't care if it's Key Food. I don't care if it's Stop and Shop. A 4% gross margin. Every grocery store. It has to be run like a machine because you're dealing with perishable foods. Okay? Now, let the government run it. The government, who wound up bankrupting OTB, a business the mob ran successfully.
Give it back to the mob.
The government got a hold of it, and they put it out of business due to mismanagement, doing expenditures on staff. What do you think is going to happen with a supermarket? And do you think what the selection is going to be in the supermarket?
Well, as far as being in charge of something, he had the garbage. Everything was already in place. All he had to do was a very small amount. This is a new thing that he's going to create. And he can't even manage something that's with the snow removal and the garbage. He couldn't even properly manage that and the homeless people.
Well,
so how do you think it's going to...
Did you hear that funny story?
Yeah.
The funny story about the guy that got a ticket on his car that he sculpted out of snow in front of his house because they did such a poor job. He sculpted a car. There was no car there, but an officer this morning got there and ticketed the car.
That's fantastic.
How do you even collect on that fine? Like there's no VIN number, there's no license plate. He put it on the snow.
Did he put it under the windshield?
Yeah, he put it on the snowy windshield.
Okay.
Wow.
I would dispute it, and I was dressed like Frosty the Snowman. I would go, Frosty the Snowman got a summons now. Yeah.
well, once again, it's everything's for free. So who's going to pay for it? They're going to have more tickets. But then again, who's going to give the tickets? Are the social workers going to give the tickets? Because not only do the police help you in trouble, but they're the ones who have quotas and they have to give out tickets. So what's his plan on that?
Well, also another
He
one.
hasn't thought any of this out.
No, and also another thing, they came up with a low, I'm not phrasing the commission proper name, but it is a commission that he put together that's going to focus on rent control and rent. And they're going to have people that are renting complain about the apartments, about the heat, whatever. But he's handcuffing these building owners. And they're just going to just shut the buildings down. Patriot Box, I believe you have a story.
We call him Box for short. Patriot Box.
Patriot Box. You have a story in regards to buildings, landlords that you know that are shutting their buildings down due to this?
Well, I told this story in the past. Basically, my father had a small business with apartments above. They were rent controlled, and he was getting all of $40 a month from the tenant who had been there forever. He couldn't raise the rent only when it was allowed, and he had to maintain the heat. So after the oil crisis, basically he was paying $80 or $90 a month to heat, to be compliant with the law for the rent control apartment. Now, again, it doesn't make economic sense. Why don't landlords take care of the properties? Because they can't, because they're not making any money. And it's basically economics 101. How much stuff are you going to sell that costs you more to sell it than to buy it?
Probably nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's basic economics and common sense. But then again, remember, our current mayor of New York, he never had a job. So maybe he just doesn't know these things.
He doesn't. And unfortunately, just like when Biden was elected and we had to suffer through 4 years, and that really opened up a lot of people's eyes, the city is going to suffer. I think for the first year they'll get through it because there's things already in place, but he's going to be dismantling it with his agenda, and New York City is going to suffer, and they're going to have to see it firsthand, and then they'll elect somebody, hopefully, that's not a communist. You know?
And also, to preface what Patriot Box said, basically anybody that's listening, anybody online that says, you know, that's not true. He's going to help the apartments. I welcome you to live in a NYCHA building, which is New York City Housing Authority, which is run by the city, which is an absolute disaster. You have mold, you have rats, you have crime in every building. It is a debacle. It's mismanaged. It's overrun. This is what's going to happen. So when you have rent and you are living in a building that's leaking and there's a rat, and you will learn that this simply will not work. Also, another thing that Mamdani has proposed is residents owning the building, buying in the building. You're going to have the same expenses that landlords have, and you're going to default. This is going to be your city, folks.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's like, unfortunately, people are going to have to learn the hard way. And that speech really affected me because, again, people are talking about the country is divided. I know a lot of people personally who are planning on leaving and selling their homes here. I know people are moving to Georgia. They're moving out of state.
They're moving out of blue states to red states.
Right.
As simple as that. They're voting with their feet. And again, what it really comes down to is the division that the powers that be, the division that they're trying to do is to get us to be divided, which we are, like we've never been before. And I say it's sort of analogous to like a bad divorce. People say, well, why can't we cross the aisle? Why can't we negotiate? Well, the problem is the left doesn't want to negotiate. The left doesn't want to solve problems. The left doesn't want Donald Trump to succeed. In fact, they want him to fail. Even if it's at the expense of this country, better to have Donald Trump fail than succeed. So this is the division, and this is where the root of the problem is. And again, when someone's being unreasonable in a divorce, someone says, well, I don't want to get divorced, so I'm not going to do anything to cooperate. That's what the left is doing to us right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's going to be the destruction of this country. And we need to stop it. And like I said, we need to do something by the midterms. We need to take action immediately. And that's what, and in my opinion, that's what we need to do. We will be back with more Red, Right, and True in a moment. Thank you for listening and watching.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW. Making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single, Justice for All, with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. Well, get ready for round two. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see. A symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Go Patriot Box.
Welcome back to the America First Warehouse, Fred Right and True, with our special guest today, Keith Fitz, and me, the Patriot Box, Joe Curry, and Bonnie Scalisi. You know, on the break, we were talking about that whole Cuba thing, and I'm just going to touch on it real quick to point out, again, it's not in the news. This is game-changing. You have this communist country 90 miles off of the coast of Florida, and right now, what's happening there is they have no electric. They're limited to maybe they have 4 hours a day of power. They're not getting oil or jet fuel. And what the United States blockade is doing is basically setting that country up for a regime change. And this is important because, again, you had I don't want to say the axis of evil, but you had Russia, you had China, Venezuela, and you had Cuba. And guess what? China, Cuba, and Venezuela, they were bringing in fentanyl. They were the people who were sourcing this and bringing it into this country and killed more people in this country than anything that happened in the Vietnam and the Korean War together, killing Americans. And I think everyone has been affected by that. So, again, when you get a chance, take a look at what's really going on in the news. These are some of the things that you have to look up yourself sometimes.
And as I mentioned before, and if you're looking up online, you need to go 7 pages back after the rhetoric.
Absolutely. Now, Key, did you want to say something about?
Well, all I was going to be concerned with Cuba is where am I going to get my cigars?
You still get cigars? You can't get cigars.
No, you can't. Those
You have to go to Canada and you put a new band on them and bring them back. You could also get codeine in Canada over the counter, but you have to ask for it.
That's good to know. We always like to be informative on this show.
That's right.
Now, the last thing we want to talk about is ICE and all the negative things that have been said about ICE. I see it all over social media. ICE Out was in that award show, and it's like the cool thing to say, against ICE. And I have a friend, and he had somebody on his social media arguing with him because he was saying something that was pro-ICE, and the woman came on and said, he said, well, what about the angel moms? And she's like, well, I don't, again, once he brought up something that she had to address and she had no answer for, she said, I'm not discussing this with you.
Now, Bonnie,
which is actually a good, at least she didn't curse him out, which is what they usually do.
Right, now bring up, what are angel moms?
The angel moms are the moms of people who have been murdered by illegals in this country.
Okay.
And I had I share Lincoln Riley, like all these different young people that were murdered jogging or in robberies.
Innocent people, murdered,
innocent Americans,
and
American citizens of all ethnicities. In fact, many were Black Americans, Spanish. Everybody's so concerned about
and it
DEI.
goes back to the stories you don't hear in the news. In fact, I'd like to say something about ICE.
They don't. Go ahead, Michael.
Basically, ICE is a federal agent. Those are federal agents enforcing the law. We still live in a country, as much as Obama's administration tried to use the law as lawfare, but we still live in a country of laws. And those laws are dictated by the Constitution, and they work our way down. And guess what? ICE agents are federal agents. They are the law. The people who have blue and pink hair and throw feces at them, they are not.
Yes, and basically they do. And another thing is, well, they can't arrest people. They're not law enforcement. Yes, they are. They
They
have
are.
arrest powers.
They can actually arrest the ones enforcing the law. They can arrest the police officers because they're above them.
Yeah.
They are federal agents.
And basically, they do have the limited authority over citizens. And this is something interesting. They have no authority over U.S. citizens. But citizens, and this is interesting in the case of the two people that wound up getting shot from them, not complying. Citizens can be detained temporarily if they obstruct or interfere with an ICE operation, which is in the case of Rachel Good, and it was in the case of the other gentleman, and there was another person. Now, the thing about this, when you have people telling you, well, they got shot and it's their fault, there was no regular police presence in these areas to keep them away from the ICE operations. And when you listen to the mayor of Minneapolis, and you listen to the mayor, Waltz, the mayor of Minnesota, complain about this, they should be brought on charges because they provide, and it is their job to provide protection in a situation that could get dangerous. And they did not. And they did not because of their agenda. They should be brought up on charges.
And can I also talk about further with media manipulation is these people that were sadly killed in the tragic Good, what's her name?
I believe it's Rachel Good. Rachel Good. And who was the other?
And the other guy. They build them up to be like gods. They're all over the news. That these people are like, this person was a nurse, and then you find out that, they uncover it later. Probably only people like myself who look at other sources of news see the guy that was a nurse, like, oh my God, they murdered a nurse. Meanwhile, earlier, they have video of him kicking the back of somebody's car, an ICE agent's car, and like smashing the bumper, kicking it so hard. And he was an agitator. So and then they compare it to Charlie Kirk, who is a peaceful protester, just going into the universities, having discussions, and he was murdered. And they try to make a comparison between the two when there is no way that there is any type of comparison between what happened. Somebody who actively was aggressively against the ICE officers was in a place being aggressive, and Charlie Kirk, who's at a college campus having a civil discourse with people who don't agree with him, and they're making a comparison of it.
It's not even a comparison. One was outright murder, and also the whole thing with Charlie Kirk when they bring up, the person that shot him, had a problem with him and his policies. Do you understand that person could have left his gun at home, walked up, or got to the podium and discussed what he did not like about Charlie Kirk with Charlie Kirk? That's what they're missing the point of. And with ICE, it's very interesting, and this is to note, as of the Friday, it's going to be Friday, February 13th, there is a threat of a partial shutdown of the government. And basically what it is the Democrats want to shut down the government if they don't get what they want. And what they want is this over ICE. They wanted targeted reductions. They explicitly stated they wish to reduce funding for immigrations and customs and enforcement of removal of operations where detention, as well as detention bed capacity. They want to partially shut it down because they want mandatory body-worn cameras for all agents, prohibiting agents from wearing masks during operations, requiring judicial warrants from entering private property, and ending roving patrols, raids near schools and churches and hospitals. They want to handcuff ICE. Okay, and what they want to do is they want to shut government, but they're not shutting down ICE because ICE will continue to do their job. However, it's going to shut down airports. It's going to shut down, I believe, Social Security. It's going to shut down everything else. And the Democrats are doing this to hurt the American people because they want this. And why do they want this? Because basically, illegal immigration is something that's going to build the Democratic Party. And basically, they're going to wean it so they could start to be a legal vote
You mean a
move the-
pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants?
Yes, halfway to citizenship to
That was,
build a
that
party.
was a quote by Chuck Schumer, by the way.
They don't care about these people.
They don't.
Let me
They're
state
their
this
imported
again.
voters.
They don't care about this people. It is just the selfish movement to build the Democratic Party, and that is it, period.
Well, I'm going to jump in here and say, one day, take a look at a map, even in the so-called blue states, New York. You know what? It's mostly red with a couple of dots of blue. And in those dots of blue, they've gerrymandered, they've been able to set the voting up in such a way that they are able to dominate, even though it's not what the majority of people want. Also, illegal voting. They have immigrants, whether they are legal or not, they're not allowed to vote. They're not citizens. And I think it was just in Alabama, in just one voting district, they found 300 people who were not citizens, but they voted.
Absolutely, and it comes down to, again, when people respect authority or not. Why are all the other cities not having a problem with ICE? Because they are the
Police
person in
protection.
charge are cooperating with them, and they even say, if you don't want us to arrest other people that didn't do violent crimes, let us take the ones we're telling you, we know where they are, we want to go and get them, and just let us do our job. And they're making a statement that they don't want the rule of law in this country. The American people have spoken. We are not happy that Biden let in all of these people, and it's their mess. And now we are left to clean it up, and they don't like the way we're cleaning it up.
Joe, we have about a minute left. You want to just give out your plugs?
Yes, let's thank some people. First, we want to thank the America First Warehouse.
Thank you.
You can find our show and all the other wonderful shows at the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com and go to the links for the shows. Also, we'd like to thank some people. TAFW Sound Money Wallet. Check them out at TAFWSoundMoney.com. My Patriot Travel at MyPatriotTravel.com. My Pillow, a great product and makes me sleep like a baby. And check that out at MyPillow.com. Also, Tallow Honey Gold at TallowHoneyGold.com. And download the America First Media and Television app. Check that out. Available in the App Store and Google Play or Store, or go to AFSshows.com. Let me say that again, AFShows.com. My friend, what do you got? Tell us about your store.
12 seconds.
Okay, I've got a couple seconds. I'm just going to say, look me up on Facebook under my name, Keyfitz, Keyfitz, and you'll see what's coming up there.
Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free in the America First.